Even when on the appropriate medications for ulcerative colitis, many patients still have breakthrough symptoms and still are looking for improved quality of life. Recent research is showing that hyperbaric oxygen is an appropriate tool for helping to improve the quality of life and reduce the symptoms of those suffering with ulcerative colitis, and that's what we're covering in today's video. If you're new to this channel, I'm Dr. Jason Saunders, founder of HBOT USA. I've been involved with hyperbaric industry for over 20 years, treating patients, doing research, teaching, training, and educating practitioners and technicians in hyperbaric medicine procedures, protocols, and safety. Unfortunately, there are so many people suffering from autoimmune diseases, of which there are many varieties. And while hyperbaric oxygen helps many patients with autoimmune conditions, it really gets to the root of some of what is driving ulcerative colitis. With this condition, it involves chronic inflammation of the colon. The lining of the intestine is literally becoming ulcerated and often infected. Symptoms include pain, bloating, bloody stools, and often there's intense urgency and high frequency of bowel movements throughout any given day. These symptoms cause massive impact on somebody's quality of life. There are a number of different drug therapies out there for ulcerative colitis, from steroid-related therapies to different biologics, all trying to manage the inflammatory process that's going on inside this person's body. Some patients are responding well to these therapies. Some of these patients are only having partial control of their symptoms with these drug therapies, while others seem to be completely resistant to these drug therapies. Even for patients that are doing relatively well on drug therapies, there are serious side effects to being on these drugs for very long periods of time. So some of these patients are looking for additional therapies to help control the issue, control their condition, and reduce their reliance on these drugs. Over the years, there have been a number of studies on hyperbaric oxygen, and more recently, larger studies and even meta-analyses that are looking at a number of controlled trials and correlating all of the data and content that's coming from each individually and comparing the results of different trials from one another. These studies are giving patients with ulcerative colitis great hope. We know that this is a chronic inflammatory autoimmune disease. And we know that hyperbaric also has a way of stimulating the anti-inflammatory pathways inside of our bodies. Hyperbaric is known to help regulate the immune system and keep it more balanced. We also know that ulcerative colitis is just that. It's ulcers in the intestinal lining, not that dissimilar from ulcers of chronic wounds that are non-healing. Hyperbaric has a long history helping patients with non-healing wounds achieve a level of skin repair and healing that would not be possible any other way. Similarly, hyperbaric can help heal these intestinal ulcers and actually have the tissue repair that these patients are looking for. We know that as different tissues are trying to heal, but they appear stuck, they're stuck in the inflammatory state, the inflammatory phase of healing. And in order to move from the inflammatory phase of healing into the proliferative phase of healing, which is where growth factors and stem cells are being mobilized for true tissue repair and regeneration, we need to have an oxygen gradient. With chronic inflammation, that oxygen gradient is blocked, and therefore the tissue remains unhealed, and it becomes a breeding ground for anaerobic infections and pathogens. Hyperbaric oxygen helps to kill those infections. It helps to break down the biofilms that many of those pathogens live under, and helps to restore that oxygen gradient, which is necessary to transition out of the inflammatory phase and back into that proliferative phase of healing. As a result, many patients see decrease in the frequency and urgency of bowel movements. They see a decrease or complete elimination of blood in their stool. They can see imaging changes and histological changes of actual intestinal tissue healing and repair. Hyperbaric is well known to really improve and stabilize the quality of life for people suffering with ulcerative colitis. In one of these studies, which will be linked in the description below, was published in the British Medical Journal, showed really compelling evidence of tissue healing and tissue repair. Inside this study, they reported all the patients manifested clinical improvement by their 40th treatment. The median number of stool frequency reduced from 7 movements a day down to 1 bowel movement per day. None of the participants in the study had measurable blood showing up in their stool by the end of the 40th session. They also did biopsies and saw measurable changes in tissue repair and regeneration. And they saw increased levels of serum stem cell mobilization as a result of all these treatments. And those stem cells are going to migrate into the intestinal layer and stimulate that healing and regeneration of the intestinal lining. This is an incredibly powerful tool for those suffering from ulcerative colitis. If you do know someone who's suffering and you think they might benefit from this video, please feel free to share it. And we want to make sure that anybody who needs hyperbaric or wants hyperbaric has access to hyperbaric. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'll see you on the next video. If you're a practitioner or you're looking to get into hyperbarics and you're wanting to learn more and making sure that you're offering this therapy as effectively and as safely as possible, I want you to know that we offer a series of courses, some of which are online and some of which are in person. At thehbotcourse.com, we'll include a link below. We have several courses available, from training and certification in hyperbaric medicine, safety director, as well as a few different business implementation options to get the business up and running. So if you think that training and education would be helpful for you, take a look at thehbotcourse.com. Again, the link will be in the description below.